You're listening to the Spiritual Highways Podcast with Leigh Ann and Michelle.
Well, good morning, sunshine.
Good morning, good morning.
How you doing?
Well, this morning, I am dragging a little bit. I decided to go to Woodville, Mississippi for a hike that was supposed to be, I read online or on my trail app that it was supposed to be a 3.5, 4 hour trail, which 7 hours later, 11.5 miles later.
I'm hearing Gilligan's Island theme song in my head.
I'm adventurous. I went alone, which is, guess what? The first rule in hiking.
Never do that.
Never hike alone.
Yeah.
But I met friends, which was great. I was kind of craving nature, and it was.
You got a lot of nature.
Got lots of nature. I mean, butt sliding down, cliff, and my hands. I feel like an arthritic person because my little poles that I was holding were so gripped, But it was fabulous, actually. I saw 9 waterfalls. And
wow.
It was pretty amazing. But after that, I got home at 7:00 last night, and I was ready in an hour for a wine and cheese party.
Girl, you had a full day.
I don't normally get ready in an hour on a good day. So how
you went from nature to wine and cheese?
Exactly, filthy. Yeah, but it was amazing.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm dragging a little.
But in a really good place.
But in a great way.
Well, it's funny that you bring up wine and cheese because we did not get to taste our wine yet.
I thought about that last night.
I know. It's okay because we're going to save it for our 10th episode.
I was hoping that you were going to come.
I know. I know. I should have
babies.
brought it, but I will.
No, about the wine and cheese, you were supposed to come with me.
I was supposed to come with you. Well, we had, as much as you were connecting with nature, I was connecting with a stomach bug in the house. Yeah. But I got to Marie Kondo my house because I told David anything that those kids touched, there was some stuff. Let me just say, there was a crime scene in the bathroom. My husband had to take one for the team, and I'm like, dude, throw it away. Yeah. That does not spark joy for me at all.
I don't know that your kids were sparking much joy.
Yeah, we couldn't toss them out, but I was all the little things in the bathroom that, was not a wall or a tub or a toilet or whatever, chunk everything. We chunked so much, just chunk it. It's not sparking joy. Cleaning it's not going to spark joy. It's out.
Hey, there's a lot to be said about
My
that.
husband's laughing at me. I'm I'm serious. I have no bad feelings about this at all.
Oh, that's great.
We missed the wine and cheese party, and I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I understand, but we definitely do need to try that wine.
I know we do.
I'm looking forward to it.
I know we do.
Promise we will do that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We need to. In the last episode, we were talking about recognizing that you're an empath, and on some level, everybody is to
Absolutely.
A degree. Then cleansing your energy, and then protecting your energy, and then seeing your blessings.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because I think, 1, 2, and 3. Recognizing, cleansing, protecting. Okay, you can do those. Mm-hmm. Seeing your blessings, I think, is going to I think people have to get out of their headspace sometimes to actually see the blessings because they're small, they're big, they're beautiful, they're wonderful. Sometimes it doesn't look like a blessing, but on the back end it is. Mm-hmm. And that song, Thank God for Unanswered Prayers.
Yes.
Those are blessings. It's just in the moment it might not look like one, but on the back end it is.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's where we really probably need to.
Well, and it makes me think, and you can relate to this in a much different way than I can. Back in 2016, for those of you that don't know, our town, Denham Springs, was had what they consider a 500-year, 100-year?
1,000-year.
Oh, flood.
Yeah.
And 90% of our town flooded, really bad.
Yeah, it was horrible.
And I was part of the 10%, which thank God. But, a lot of people, it pushed a lot of people to rid themselves of so many things.
Not by choice.
Right.
Yeah.
And at first everyone, you wouldn't think that it would be a blessing, but I've talked to so many people whose lives have drastically improved. Now, obviously that's not for everyone.
And it's not for everyone, but yes.
But there's been so many opportunities that people were, had to get rid of not only just things, but it just really altered their life path and put them in a place that really they wouldn't have been otherwise.
Right.
And I've heard more times than not, oh my gosh, the flood was horrible, but at the same time, it was really such a blessing to me. I've heard that countless times.
Well, I will tell you, because the flood itself, was not a blessing. But what I did hear is, I could say, well, we flooded, but we didn't have it as bad as so-and-so. Mm-hmm. And then that person could say, well, yeah, we got this, but we didn't have it as bad. Everybody found a way to go, yeah, but there were people that had it worse.
Absolutely.
And what I took away from it, big picture, we had a community that rallied together. We had strangers helping strangers. We had people coming in from parishes all over the place, other states. If they had a boat, they were here, they were helping, they jumped in, they didn't even think about the damage that they might do to their own vehicle or their own boat. They were just here saving people.
That's right.
And that, at the end of the day, regardless of the material things, mm-hmm. it was the fact that people showed up to help people.
Yeah.
And that's where our humanity comes in. Mm-hmm. Because bad things are going to happen, but if we show up and help, I feel like that's right. God's love. That's right. You're going to have trials but you just show up and you mm-hmm. help. And
I think that being able to help, being part of the 10%, and I wrote a letter about that, we can post it.
Absolutely.
But it was the 90. It was to the 90% from the 10%, and from our perspective, it was like you had a lot of guilt, right? Because
it's a little survivor's guilt. Like I'm sorry, yeah,
no, but it really is. But with that being said, it really helped us to be able to kind of see what people were going through. And to look at that and to say, count our own blessings, but to be there to help pull up everyone else.
Absolutely. Well, and I have to tell you, from the other 90%, mm-hmm. the fact that there was 10% left mm-hmm. gave us hope. Yeah. Because if it had been 100% flood, we would have felt complete. Can you imagine if everyone? No. Like, it was already such a wide scale mm-hmm. that it was beyond comprehension. I still look at the pictures now and I go, I can't even believe there was water where there was water.
Right.
So it was light mm-hmm. for the 90% to know that there were people that did not flood.
Right.
Because that would have seemed hopeless, mm-hmm. I think.
But it just all goes back to, even in the times of things don't look like blessings, they really and truly are.
Well, but you have to be willing to see the blessings. Uh-huh. You have to, and this goes back to every morning going, today, what blessings am I going to see today? Mm-hmm. And it's being determined to look for the blessings and not everything else.
Right. Well, and that goes in hand with, I always say, your mind is your builder, and you create whatever reality that you have, that you're living in.
Right.
If you really want to see a change in your life, it starts with what comes out of it. What comes out of your mouth, what comes out of what you're thinking, what comes out of your head. And when you start to recognize your blessings and you start to paint the pretty picture in your head, like what is it that you want?
Right.
I really think that that's when you really start noticing a change is not allowing this negative self-talk.
Absolutely.
And saying, oh, okay, I see this. And I know from communicating with spirit point of view, they often, they like to get recognized for their, when you find that penny or the feather and you know that it's from your grandparent or whoever.
Because it's a good memory.
Oh, yeah. But when you look at that and you say, oh, thanks, Grandma Rose, for the, sending me the feather. Spirit likes that. And then you'll start seeing more of them. You'll start seeing, they'll send you more.
Right.
And so it empowers them. So the same is for thoughts.
Here, yes.
Yeah, for thoughts, and not just when you're dealing with a lost loved one. It's when you start to appreciate and show gratitude for the blessings that you do have, it opens your life and it opens up the universe to send you more.
Right. And when you share it with your friends or family, acknowledgement and sharing that, because then it kind of gives them permission to acknowledge and share. Like, oh, look at, she saw this and she's sharing it with me. And when you talk about blessings and you talk about how it makes you feel, that's contagious. Mm-hmm. Just like negativity can be contagious.
Oh, yeah.
It's what am I going to occupy my time with? And if it's talking about blessings mm-hmm. and the good things, then it's going to multiply. Just like if you talk about gossip or negative things, that multiplies. So if you shift your focus to the blessings and sharing that just, it's contagious. And that's the kind of thing we want to spread.
Right.
And that's what you want.
I really like how you said it gives you your permission, because I think that we can do a whole episode on that, because when you see someone do something that you hadn't seen in the past, or you want to do but you haven't done, it empowers you to say, oh, okay, I can do that too. And so I like how you use that as an example for blessings.
It gives you a visual. Sometimes you need a visual of what it looks like. Like, it didn't occur to you to try that, or it didn't occur to you to think of something a certain way. And then when somebody shares something with you, just like, and I've said this before, like I get perspective from some of my clients, the way they see things, and I go, oh, yeah, I wasn't looking at it that way.
Right. And
so sometimes just shifting your perception or your focus to the positive,
it empowers you.
It empowers you.
If you would have told me, 2 years ago that I would have packed up my stuff and drove an hour and a half to go hiking in the woods alone by myself, there's no way. I would have been like, yeah, I will be lost in 15 minutes and probably break my leg and you'll have to airlift me out. That's probably what I would have said. But, I've opened myself up to being around a lot of very independent people, and it's really empowered me to be able to go and do those things. And so it goes hand in hand with recognizing my blessings. I know that I feel protected and I feel independent and I feel like I can do those things. And so I think that by recognizing my blessings, it empowers you too.
Right. And it's important to share. That's you can have it, but when you share it, mm-hmm. that makes it even more powerful. And then you really kind of start building your little community of people that are willing to talk about things and share things and make things grow in a positive direction, because that's really how it gets bigger and build your, I don't know, what am I trying to say? It's kind of like, I use the term, it's an old term, like circling your wagons. Like sometimes it's okay to circle your wagon and protect yourself, mm-hmm. but you gotta know who's on your wagon,
right?
And you want to make sure they're in the same frame of mind with you, because you don't want negativity entering your space that you've created for yourself. Like, you really need to be able to count on them to go, okay, I might have a day where I'm feeling the negativity, or I'm letting the thoughts eat away at me that I don't need to. And so it's nice to have those people on your wagon that are go, hey.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Like, let's rethink this. Don't Don't get stuck in that place.
Right.
Because we will. I mean, you're going to wake up and you're going to have a day and, it happens. And
I love when you said to give it away and to share it, because it makes me think of this quote from Pablo Picasso, which those of you who don't know, I'm an artist, so I'm kind of a junkie when it comes to that kind of stuff. But he says the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. And so that I have a big that's in my bedroom, framed in my bedroom. That. But it makes sense to me, and I think that if you replace gift with blessings, I really can attest to that alone.
Absolutely, you can.
But I think that it does lend you a sense of purpose whenever you do recognize your blessings and you share it and you give it away.
Absolutely, so. And when you're sharing positivity, you can walk away from seeing someone and be like, wow. I'm so glad I got to spend time with that person.
Right.
And that's, it's in at the kids' school. People might not remember what you said or what you did, but how you made them feel.
That's right.
They'll always remember how you made them feel.
Right.
And that's, if everybody could start their day going, okay, how am I going to make the people that I'm with
right. So try it.
Yeah, try
it. Make that your goal,
For the week.
Especially when you know that person that may be negative. See if you challenge yourself to, maybe crack them. Let's see. Okay, my goal for the week.
Kill them with kindness, people.
That's right. That's right. Let's give it a whirl. Let me see if I can kind of change their perspective, or if you can change the way that they are at all that day.
It's true. And you might have to wrap a bow around a lot of things.
Well, and it goes with some people just harbor so much inside. And a perfect example. My mom came home. She had gone grocery shopping the other day, and she goes, I had a great day. She says, but there was a lot of people who just stopped and talked to me. She said, I spent literally 40 minutes in the grocery store talking to strangers that just kind of unloaded on her. We're like, this is what I'm going through today. And she said she really didn't even say anything. And it was just an older lady, and she just was kind of just telling her everything that she was
loving.
Yes, to it, like big time. And that's what I told her. I said, well, that was that outlet. You were allowing these people. And you know what? Maybe sometimes that's just what they need. And you can almost feel, and that goes in part with what I do also. And so I can see energetically that shift from when you start talking to someone and then you leave them. Once they get that off of their chest,
right,
it really opens it up. But that alone can be your blessing to watch and
absolutely.
To see.
And that goes back to protecting yourself, because
absolutely
you want to protect yourself so that you don't absorb what they're giving you, so that you can let it flow past you. But the gift is hearing them and being empathetic to them, or sympathetic, depending on what their situation is.
Well, what's interesting is because she opened herself up, we talked about this too. So she did this. The next day she goes to church. And so she comes in, and it was she had ran into some people from that she hadn't seen since Christmas. And and they brought her all kinds of goodies from church. She's like, I got a rosary, I've got this little tin, and it's got chocolates in it, and all of this. And she had just listened to those people at Walmart. I said, Mom, maybe that was your blessing from.
It's all connected.
Yes, it's all connected. You were that avenue for those people to kind of let their burdens out on you, but in turn, that was your reward, was all your
way to go
from Christmas, from church. So she was all very, very excited. So,
and she recognized it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the big thing. So, okay, so that's the thing. Like, you want to look for the blessings and see the blessings, and remain open to seeing them. No matter how big or how small, a blessing is a blessing. And I'm going to say a word here. It's going to sound like a bad word, but it's not a bad word. Are the ask holes.
Oh, what?
An ask hole. ASK hole.
Oh.
Okay, so they might come and ask your advice. You give them great advice. You know it's going to work for them.
Oh. Wow.
And they don't listen. And I call them assholes. Because if you're not going to listen, if you've come to me, you obviously think I'm going to give you good advice or you wouldn't have shared it with me. But then you don't listen and tell you what I need. You know, like, look, if you just do this or see it this way or embrace it this way, then this could happen. But then they don't. And then they continue to have this repeated pattern. And you're like, oh my gosh. And it just,
it can be very frustrating. Yeah.
No, like if you ask for the advice, listen.
Right.
Listen. And if you have to write it down, if you have to repeat it. And I think we're all guilty of that to a degree.
Oh, yeah.
And in any situation, like I may have it, you know, A through D, and then E might be my asshole moment where I've asked for advice and then I don't listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all guilty of being one.
Right.
But it's knowing that, okay, if you go to somebody,
be ready for a change.
Yes, if you're asking someone else, if you've included someone else in your solution or decision-making process, listen to what they have to say. It might not all resonate with you, but there's something in there that might help you find your blessing.
You know, that's interesting because I've in many times one person that you'd speak to kind of answers a question that you've been going through. Like it's kind of like,
but you didn't know you were going to get the answer.
No, it's from the most obscure place ever. You know, like I had no idea. I'm sitting here frustrated with this issue, and then it could be somebody you run into, you know, at Whole Foods, and you're wait, this is giving me an answer to a question that had nothing to do with why I'm here, but it really ended up being such a eye-opening experience for you.
Yes.
So you may get answers for questions that you have in places that you definitely do not expect them to be, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and you forgot they were questions.
Right.
Yeah, you were like, oh, wait.
Here's my answer. Okay.
Just took a little while.
Yeah, yeah.
I do have to share something.
Okay.
And it's personal, but you did this for me.
Oh, I don't even know.
You're like, what did I do?
I'm
No.
scared.
It's a good thing. Okay, so I've been dealing with communicating with one of my boys.
Oh, okay.
And we sat down, and you gave me a life reading. And I know that's a departure from...
Well, I didn't know it was going to be a life reading.
Right. I understand. It's a departure from, messages from loved ones that have passed. But so in this, I was having trouble communicating. I didn't know, I'm like, okay, is it military school? Is it therapy? Like, I'm literally thinking big picture here, like gangbusters. And you gave me a lot of, usable advice.
And I should say, I don't know your son in this way. Like, I don't.
No, you don't. I mean,
that was interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was my 17-year-old, and you don't really have much interaction with him, at all. Actually, no, at all, because he never comes out of his room.
Yeah, I might see him to get something to drink and then walk back in, but that was the extent.
Yeah,
so
that was the extent of it. Yeah, that you didn't. And but even if you had, I don't think it would have changed this information at all. It was on a deeper level. And so you had mentioned, look, he doesn't understand what his day should look like. He doesn't have a visual. And you gave me a lot of advice, and some of it I haven't used yet. But the one thing you had mentioned was you need to make him a list. You need to itemize his day. He needs to see it on paper. And in the moment, I was like, okay. And a couple of days went by, and I'm back in this circular argument with him because the conversations we have, he's not doing them, and blah, 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 blah. And it's gotten heated. And I said, you know what? And I grabbed a piece of paper, and I was like, let's sit down and write out what your day should look like. And literally, his whole body language shifted. He had tears jumping out of his eyes. And he was like, can we please? And I said, well, yeah. Well, why couldn't, what? He goes, I need this. And I said, of course. And he's like, these aren't upset tears. These are happy tears. I'm happy. I'm happy. And we sat down and we wrote out what his day should look like Monday through Friday. This is what your day should look like. And I got detailed. Like I literally was wake up, go to the bathroom, take a shower, walk the dog. Like it literally was detailed. And then what Saturdays and Sundays should look like. So a week later, this was last night, I looked at him and I said, so how do you think your week went working off the list? And he said, I feel like I did good. And I said, I do too. I said, I feel like there were a few moments where I had to say, hey, have you checked your list? But that's all I had to say.
Wow.
I didn't have to yell. I didn't have to argue with him about what was said and what wasn't said, what we agreed upon and what we didn't agree upon. I didn't have to have that circular argument anymore because it was going nowhere. And even my husband was like, I have noticed a difference.
Wow.
And so thank you. Well, because like I could have been in therapy for years just to get to this one little, like, let's make a list. I don't know. But I'm so grateful.
Well,
because it took, and now he was able to see success. Mm-hmm. So for his self-esteem, we went from me tearing him down. I know I was out of frustration to now he has, like, he made a list. He's accomplishing it. He's building up his self-esteem, and that is so huge. So thank you.
Well, okay, for one, two things. First, you're welcome, but it was not me. I don't take any credit for that at all. Two, I must say that I wish I could, like, do this for myself because it might work out for me. Because Lord knows.
Heal thyself. Isn't that a thing?
Yeah. I am definitely not, I need to do.
Make a list.
Yeah. Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll make you a list.
Yeah,
we'll make you a list.
But I have noticed that there's definitely a shift that's been going through with the messages that I've been giving and from a higher power. You asked me when we discussed this before. No, it was my sister. She said when I told her that, she's not your story, but when I told her that things had been shifting, she said, well, if it's not from a loved one, where is it coming from? I was like, a different department. I feel like when I give messages, there's like people that have passed away. There's an angel department. There's a divine God, light department. And, there's a spirit guide department. And this is just another department, I guess, that Spirit is trying to show me and shift me into.
Because it's all healing.
Absolutely.
It's all healing and growing. And then you get away from those conversations so that your conversations can then be positive.
Right. Well, they definitely don't come from me. It's not me. It's definitely
no, but you're doing the work.
Well, and yes. I get that, but I'm very grateful that you were able to help with that. That it was able to help him in the ways that it did, and I need to write these down. That way I can take notes for my own self.
I will make you a list.
Yes,
you and I will sit down. I will make you a list.
I probably would do really well with that. But no, I'm really grateful that he's found that. Sometimes it's people want to change and they want to do kind of alter how they've been living or the rut that they've been in. And sometimes I think that it's just having just one little thing, like you said, making a list that really opened him up to say, oh, okay, gave him just enough change to be able to see an achievable goal.
Yes.
And that's different. That's important, the word achievable, because if you set your expectations for him for being so high,
right,
it becomes unobtainable, which then just beats down their self-esteem. So I think that when you set an achievable goal, it does, like you say, it really builds his self-esteem and your self-esteem and okay, I can do this. And then it makes you muster on.
Right. And you can go to the next step.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So make yourself some achievable goals.
I think
would be the general spirit lesson here today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that's it for today. That's a wrap, folks.
I think I hear some Epsom salt calling my name, and maybe a glass of wine myself this afternoon.
Absolutely, we'll have to crack open a bottle.
Absolutely. Well, hope you have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Spiritual Highways podcast with Leigh Ann and Michelle. Catch up on past episodes at spiritualhighways.com, on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, and more.